Well, good afternoon, Central Georgia. We finally have model agreement that we now have a good chance of snowfall for our area tomorrow morning. We also have some new updates from the National Weather Service in terms of new warnings in our area. We now have a winter storm warning for Macon, Warner Robins, and the majority of the counties south of I-16. So let's get into the details, and I'm going to go into our weather impact alert graphic. So here it is as I take it full screen. So the weather impact alert is, of course, for tomorrow morning, and it's for the potential of wintry mix and light snow throughout tomorrow morning. So once again, light snow and wintry mix possible. Best chances are going to be for places south of I-16. So for areas listed within that winter weather warning, so for Macon, Houston County, Wilkinson County, anywhere below I-16, you'll have a pretty good chance of snowfall. The farther north you are, the chances decrease. And then we're going to be above freezing by Sunday afternoon. So this is a really good scenario for us because unlike last year where the snow fell for the majority of the afternoon and evening and it froze throughout that overnight, well, we're expecting everything to melt once we get into the afternoon and temperatures go above freezing. So we shouldn't be left with any accumulation as we head into Martin Luther King Day. Here's a look at all the 4 sky cameras across Central Georgia. We have partly to mostly cloudy weather. The current temperature is at right now 58 degrees. So it's it's pretty warm right now, but we'll get colder tomorrow. We should have highs in the 40s tomorrow. Temperatures are within the lower 60s and 50s as of right now, but I want to show you the entire look of the country just to show you where that cold front is that's providing that much needed cold air that we're definitely going to need for the overnight tonight for snow to develop. So you can see right behind Montgomery towards the west in Mississippi and Jackson and Little Rock, you see temperatures into the 30s, the 40s. That's that colder air that'll eventually move into our area throughout the overnight. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. We're currently experiencing some sprinkles, especially down towards the south, but then you can see more light rain in Alabama and towards Florida, especially near Tallahassee. This is all due to the system that will be providing also that key ingredient, which is the moisture needed for snow to develop. So looking more in depth into our area, we're seeing clearing some sprinkles for places south of Unadilla, but we are mainly dry at the current moment. So let's take a look at the Futureview. I know everyone is on this stream to look at the models and what the weather is going to be for tomorrow morning. So here's a look at the Futureview. We may experience some rain later tonight. Now this is once again due to that front associated with that system providing that cold air, and this model is showing snow starting to develop at 3 to 4 o'clock, and that snow will eventually head into places such as Macon and places south of I-16 by 7 to 8 o'clock, and then at this point it should be widespread across most of Central Georgia. Once we get into 9-10 o'clock, then the snow will eventually head off towards the east, and we are going to be clear and sunny throughout much of the afternoon. So this is the reason why we're very confident that if anything falls, it's not going to stick, at least for the afternoon, because it will melt with the sunshine and with, of course, the temperatures above freezing. So that's a look at the Futureview. Here's a look at our other short-range model, the high-resolution model. And once again, this shows rain starting after midnight and some wintry mix by 1 to 2 o'clock. As we get into 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, where we experience our lowest temperatures, it shows snow, not for everyone in Central Georgia, just for places such as Macon and those southern counties highlighted within that winter weather warning for about 2 to 3 hours, and also shows more wintry mix as compared to that Futureview. And then everything will start to dissipate as we get into the afternoon. So both models showing snow for Central Georgia. Same thing is true with the NAM short-term model. So here you go. It shows widespread rain after midnight and then snow starting at around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And once again, this is widespread. And then the snow will start to shift towards the east as we get into the late morning. And then once again, we'll be clear in the afternoon. So all three of those models painted a very similar story. So by the mid-morning, snow will start to form. As we get later in the morning, temperatures start to rise. That's when we'll start to see some wintry mix, as we'll see temperatures begin to warm. And then once that system heads off towards the east, we're going to be clear throughout the afternoon. So really nice to see that agreement that the models are showing something very similar. That just increases our confidence even more. This is the GFS model. This model went gung-ho a couple of days ago, showing widespread snow. So this was the first model indicating snow in the first place, and it constantly held on to the idea even today, of course, as we get closer to the event. And it shows a snow wintry mix starting around 5, 6 o'clock, widespread snow around the late morning. Now, I do not agree with this model's timing of the snow, because it has snow happening for all of our area by 11 o'clock. I don't think this is going to be true. I think much of the snowfall will end around this point because, once again, temperatures are going to be extremely high for snow to form after that point. So I think we may see wintry mix in cold rain at this point, so around 11, 12 o'clock. And then we'll be once again clear later into the afternoon. So I have some disagreements with the GFS model, but still showing overall a similar story as compared to the other short-range models. Now the Euro is backing down a little bit as compared to the past couple of days. The Euro has snow starting around, once again, the mid-morning and more wintry mix. And then once we get into 11 o'clock in the morning, that's when it will transition into wintry mix and cold rain. Now, this is also a very likely scenario where the snowfall will occur only for 2 to 3 hours. Then once we reach that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hour, then that's when the snow will start to dissipate, as it will become a little bit too warm for snow to develop. So this model is also a very likely scenario on what could happen tomorrow morning. But all in all, I want the main message from all these models to be that all of these models are indicating snow for much of central Georgia, especially for the highly populated areas in central Georgia as well. So Macon, Warner Robins, and in Perry. So as of 2 o'clock today, so 40 minutes ago, much of our area is now included in that winter weather warning. So this means that the area shaded in pink, so Bibb County, Twiggs County, Wilkinson County, Lawrence County, that includes Dublin, Dodge County so Eastman's within Dodge County, Wilcox County, Crisp County, Dooley County, Pulaski County, Bleckley County, I think I said Houston County already, Peach County, and Macon County. The National Weather Service said that they could potentially see 1 to 3 inches of snow throughout tomorrow morning. And then everyone else, highlighted in the light blue, well, they are under a winter weather advisory, meaning that the chances are a little bit lower that they'll see as much snow as Macon and Warner Robins, but they still have the potential to see an inch of snow. So once again, snow is possible for everyone, but areas shaded in the light blue has a lower chance as compared to the areas shaded in the pink. So that is the current winter weather warnings that we currently have for central Georgia at the current moment. Now let's take a look at the ingredients and how much of these ingredients are we going to have for tomorrow morning. So of course, for snow to develop, you need, once again, cold air, but most importantly, you need moisture. Let's start off with the cold air. We're forecasting lows into the lower 30s and upper 20s. As we get into tomorrow morning, we'll start to see temperatures around 33, 32 degrees, so which is around freezing. Now, for snow to develop, most people will say, well, it's above 32 degrees, snow can't develop. Snow actually can develop 1 to 2 degrees above freezing, but it just will not be as perfect as if it was in the upper 20s. So snow can develop and fall and stick, but once again, it will come off a little mushy compared to a perfect snowflake that develops in the prime conditions in the upper 20s. So we do have the cold air in place, especially within that time frame in which the models are indicating snow to fall for central Georgia. But once we get into the afternoon, notice we get into the lower 40s. That's when it gets too warm for snow to stick or for snow to form. Now here's the other ingredient that we need, and that's moisture. So the moisture is all dependent on the track of a low pressure system that's providing all of that energy and moisture in our area. And that low pressure system is causing the sprinkles in our area. So here are all the three scenarios that we were forecasting and tracking over the past couple of days. Scenario 1, it's where it went farther down to the south, and we had no moisture at all. We had scenario 3, in which it moved farther towards the north, and that's where the event will be more of a classic winter setup that we typically see in Georgia, where it only affects the Georgia mountains and, of course, Atlanta, but we would barely see anything. It's very comparable to what we had earlier, I'd say last year, but not the winter storm last year, but the for those of you who remember, it was like the first week of January 9th, where Putnam County and Jasper County only saw around an inch of snow, and Warner Robins and Macon didn't see anything. And then, of course, a week later, we had that winter storm, historic winter storm. It would be like that first event where we wouldn't see anything. But now models are now coming to agreement that scenario 2 is going to be the most likely scenario, where, of course, snow and wintry mix would be more possible for our area. So the ingredients are lining up as well. Here's a look at the Futureview snow accumulations total graphic that we have. And it's not showing any numbers anymore, but the major point is yesterday, this graphic only showed potential snow for our southern and southeastern counties. Now, as of this morning, it expanded and it covered all of central Georgia. That is extremely important. It also shows higher totals. And the reason why I know it's showing higher totals for areas down towards the south is because the colors are lighter, and I can correlate that with the color table on the top of the graphic. But it's showing more accumulation for central Georgia, which shows that the models are now coming into agreement, and we're now having way higher confidence that snow is more likely tomorrow. Now, I want to say, no matter what, I don't think this will be like last year's historic snow event. So last year's historic snow event was a slam dunk home run forecast. We were confident, I'd say 4 days out. All the ingredients were there. It was a freak storm, something that we will not see in a long time, very comparable to the storm of 1973. So while I'd say high end at most, we will see 3 inches of snow, I don't think we'll see anything close to the 9 inches of snow that Chris County experienced, or the 7 inches of snow that Bleckley County, Dodge County experienced, or the 5 inches of snow in Houston County. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I do think we'll see a decent amount that it will look pretty on the photos and provide a lot of people joy. Thankfully, once we get into the afternoon, it will all melt because the temperatures will be above freezing. And the reason why I say thankfully is because we all know last year, all that snow stuck to the ground, so driving was absolutely terrible. It was super hazardous. There's a bunch of accidents on I-75 and I-16. Yes, it was a complete show for the worst. Thankfully, I don't think that will be the case. I think driving in the morning will be hazardous, but thankfully, once we get into the late afternoon and evening, things will get a lot better. But of course, that's going to be the reason for our weather impact alert, because it will cause the potential for hazardous conditions Sunday morning. But our confidence in terms of the wintry mix and snow, that has increased. So that's a good thing for the snow lovers. But the good news for the people who absolutely hate snow is that I don't think it will be as impactful as last year. So I am going to take time to answer any questions on Facebook. That is the current rundown. I'm just going to look and ask the questions. So how will it look through the interstate? Well, yeah, so it all depends on where you are on the interstate. So, of course, I-16 is probably going to get snow throughout most of its route. I-75, it all depends on where you are. So the more south you are, the more chances, the higher the chance that you'll have snow that will impact your commute or wherever you're driving. If you live farther north, the impacts will be less than that. So is it going to snow in Byron? So Byron, you will have one of the highest chances of snow in central Georgia. So you are outlined within that winter storm warning. So Peach County is outlined in that winter storm warning. Let me show you the Futureview just to show you where Peach County lies within the snow. So the Futureview shows snow starting in Peach County around 4 o'clock in the morning and lingering until 10 o'clock in the morning. So that's your answer to that question. Same thing for Crawford County. Actually, I don't think, let me see if Crawford County is included in that. So Crawford County is not included into the winter storm warning. Now you're under a winter weather advisory, meaning that an inch is still possible for y'all. Obviously this could change. The National Weather Service could include Crawford County. They're with one of the fringe counties not included within that winter storm warning. So obviously Crawford County could be well within a winter storm warning later this evening. As of right now, they're not. But once again, snow is definitely possible for Crawford County. Will it snow in Savannah, Georgia? Let's see. I do not forecast for Savannah. I'm only forecasting for central Georgia. Well, let's see what the Euro model says. So the Euro model says rain for Savannah. Let's check the graph model for the Savannah residents out there. So it shows only a trace amount of snow for Savannah. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like Savannah will get as much snow as the people here in central Georgia. Wheeler County. So it looks like Wheeler County, you will receive snow. It looks like it will start at around 8 to 9 o'clock. And it could linger until the late morning. Now, I will say, I think the period of snowfall will be shorter than the places towards the west because of how late you're receiving the snow. And then once you get into the late morning, in my opinion, I think all that snow is going to transition into wintry mix and freezing rain. But I still think snowfall will at least happen maybe for an hour or two. So maybe lesser accumulations as compared towards the people in west central Georgia. Taylor County, you're within the winter weather advisory. An inch is possible. It looks like you have the potential to receive snow, the first people to receive snow in central Georgia, so it could be around 4 to 5 o'clock. And if this model is correct, you'll receive bands of snow throughout the morning, so throughout the mid and late morning, and then it looks like this wave is going to leave farther east by 10 o'clock in the morning. And Taylor County, if I remember correctly, y'all were the first people to see snow as well last year. I remember y'all were the first people to report flakes falling in last year's historic snow event. So I think it may be the same case this year as well. So what about Macon? Well, Macon is within that winter storm warning. So it looks like the chances of y'all receiving an inch of snow is getting higher as of right now. The National Weather Service outlined that Macon could receive an inch to 3 inches of snow. Now, I'm talking about snow accumulations. I didn't have a graphic for that. I'm going to make a graphic later this afternoon. I have a stream as well at 4 o'clock and potentially at 9 o'clock. So I'll be making a graphic. If I do not have the ability to show that on either of the streams, I'll be posting that on social media and, of course, on the website. But once I'm done with the stream, I'm going to go hard at work, and I'm just going to crunch the numbers, and we'll see if if I can get that snow accumulation map as soon as possible. Is there a chance that Taylor could see a winter weather warning or winter storm warning? There is definitely a chance. Right now, the National Weather Service outlined those counties in a winter storm warning. Let me go back to that graphic. Right now, they outlined those counties, but of course, more counties could be included later this evening as we get closer to the event. Are my sleeves up? You know, I should have my sleeves up. I went to school in Pennsylvania at Penn State, so I'm used to the snow. So, I mean, I'm more used to it than, of course, a tornado, of course. But obviously, since snow is rare, I should have my sleeves up. So, you know, I'll have my sleeves up later in the next stream. However, I think the impacts are not going to be as high as last year. So, I think this may be a good scenario where we receive snow, and then you know, we can go outside, play with the snow, stay home for tomorrow morning, take pictures and all of that. And then by the afternoon, the sun's going to come out and everything's going to melt. And you could drive, go enjoy your day on Monday with your family. And you won't have to really stay at home and, of course, buy the bread and everything. So I think this is a really good scenario. Predictions for Monroe County. So unfortunately, Monroe County, they are within a winter weather advisory. They could see up to an inch of snow. But if you live farther north in Monroe County, the chances decrease as compared to if you live farther south in Houston County and in Lawrence County. What are the chances it doesn't warm up? Extremely low chance. We're very certain that we'll get higher than 40 degrees. And the reason why we're very certain of that is because we're certain that once the system leaves, of course, the clouds will clear up. So we're going to be sunny in the afternoon. So that sunshine is definitely going to heat up the ground, and it's going to increase our temperatures. And that way, we're very certain that everything's going to melt. Jefferson County. I have, if I'm being very honest, I do not know where Jefferson County is. I memorized all the counties in central Georgia. I do not know what Jefferson, if you mean Jefferson in, I think there's Jeffersonville and, of course, Twiggs County. I mean, yes, there's an increased chance that y'all could see snow. I've never heard of a Jefferson County, though. So Hancock County, the chances are a little bit less than if you live farther south in Hancock County. It's because of how north you are. Right now, we're forecasting the swath of snow, of course, to be widespread and to impact most of central Georgia. But Hancock County, I think you'll see some snow. I don't think it'll be as much. What about Milledgeville? Okay, so Milledgeville, they're not within that winter storm warning. However, you're in that winter weather advisory. So you can see it up to an inch of snow. I think, of course, snow is going to be very possible for Milledgeville. Let me go back to the Futureview just to show Milledgeville. So the Futureview shows, once again, snow affecting Milledgeville throughout the mid-morning, and then once we get into 10 o'clock, that's when the swath will head farther east. How will it snow and will it be above freezing? So are you asking how can it snow above freezing or will it get above freezing? So the snow was going to happen around the time in the mid-morning. I'd say most of the snow is going to happen mid-morning where temperatures are going to be around or below freezing. So that's, once again, the recipe needed for snow. And then we'll get above freezing in the late morning. So by 11 o'clock midday, that's when we'll get above freezing. And I'd say everything will stop and will melt at that time. Okie dokie. Let me go back to the full screen. So I know the news of increased snow chances is amazing for a lot of you, and I know it's terrible news for a lot of you too. So I know you all have a lot of questions. I'll be back later at 4 o'clock with the newest updates, and I'll, of course, be answering more questions. But right now I'll be heading back to my weather center, and I'm going to crunch the numbers, and I'm going to go into forecast specific snow accumulation totals for, per county, per area of central Georgia. So I'll be back later, but I had a pleasure giving you the forecast, and we'll see what happens tomorrow morning. Have a beautiful day, Central Georgia.